Hey there. So week 4, we're just going to be building kind of a trajectory from week 2. You kind of have in the smaller reality of of the soil of Earth's kingdom, and you're lamenting, you're penitential of the sins and confessing, and then we've been brought into a place of thanksgiving and salvation history. We're connecting our lostness to God's story and gaining some hope, some thankfulness. And now I think we're to an even higher plane. We look at Psalms this week in the text and tone part 3, and I think we arrive at a place of trust, a place of honor, and we see that this journey, all of the moments are forming us, okay? And so you're going to study in the Psalms this week songs of trust, hymns of doxology, and then also liturgical covenant. Let me just say just a few things on each one. Songs of trust, I think we said that. The place I've found in my own faith it's the most difficult to reach is songs of trust. Places where I just say, you know what, Lord, I'm thankful, but I'm going to place my trust in you. And so through your composition this week, you will be exploring how creativity can link you to trust and processing the moments you're in, connecting them to the moments that you were in your past. So present and past come together, and then generating some conclusions of how you're going to trust God moving forward. Okay? And then hymns of doxology. I think doxology is an important word because it comes from doxos, which is to glory or to praise, and then logi, which is logic. So literally doxology means the logic of praise. And I've come to say for myself, the logical end to learning about God is to praise Him. That's doxology. It's just logical to come to a place of praising God. If you don't, you've missed it. Paul, take for example Romans 9 through 11. He lays out this huge, long, extended treatise on election. Some of the deepest theology we have, and confusing, and many people have debated over these chapters, but at the very end, Paul ends with a doxology. How unsearchable are the judgments of God? He fleshes this out in the context of no, we're not trying to arrive at conclusions. The conclusion is that God's judgments are beyond ours. This election thing is more complex than we could ever have hoped to understand. And rather than coming to a place of clarity in theology sometimes, I think sometimes the grayness of theology, of where we reach a point where we go, whoa, that's beautiful, I kind of understand it, but it's beyond me. Let me praise this wonderful, glorious King. That idea of doxology takes us to a higher plane, I believe, than theology. Theology drives doxology, okay? What we know drives our worship, okay? So they're connected. You cannot have worship without theology. You cannot have theology without worship. They're interconnected. All of us are absolutely bound to both. We have to worship something. We have to know something. We, in our faith, choose to know Jesus. And then lastly, liturgical covenant. These were acting out the rhythms. Liturgy literally means rhythms. Over and over, acting them out, doing them as a people together, remembering the covenant. One of the strongest liturgical elements of the Old New Testament linked is the supper, the Lord's Supper, linked to the Passover. Every time we do the Lord's Supper, we remember the Lord together. We walk through that moment, and not only do we remember the Lord, because we tend to forget in the normal rigmarole of our day, but God also remembers us. He looks on the supper again and He remembers, I made that covenant with Jesus. The same thing with the Spirit, flying by the doorposts in Egypt and seeing the blood. The Spirit remembered His covenant. He said, you know what? I remember the blood means I don't go in and take their firstborn son. Jesus remembers the same thing through His blood, and it's encapsulated in this meal. Okay? So we have these psalms that are walking through the rhythms of remembering. And we need to have those same liturgies today. Many people say, well, we don't want to do things over and over because they grow stale. Well, I'll say, well, we preach every week, we sing every week. Is it going to grow stale? Should we not sing every week? The supper is actually the most repetitive, repeated thing through all of history, even beyond just singing, even beyond preaching. Preaching's changed remarkably, the nature of it anyway. But the repetitiveness of the supper has always been a constant. And this week you're going to be doing something in your assignments, and I'll ask you to look through those that are going to kind of be looking through your own liturgies, your own places of trust in your own life, and thinking through that for yourself. So These Psalms are going to be helpful. We're arriving now at the highest plane, which is trust, which is worship. Let me help you if I can this week, and good luck to composing a composition that meets people in their everyday moments.